Greetings, Doctor Who fans, and welcome back for another action figure review. For this one, I shall be taking a look at the 13th Doctor collector set, which comprises of 3 new variants of existing sculpts that we've had released by Character Options through the years. So, from left to right, we have a new Weeping Angel transparent figure. We have a new 13th Doctor variant, along with a new Yasmin Khan variant. As for the packaging, what you usually expect by now with these B&M sets, you have the 13th Doctor era logo, along with your TARDIS motif and the name of the set, and you have your figures clearly displayed inside the box there. You have no background this time, and then just turning the box around, you can just see a bio about the 13th Doctor. Let's now take a closer look at the figures out of the box, starting off with the 13th Doctor. So I'll just move these two out of the way. There we go. One thing to note is I'm using a new lighting system for this review, so we'll have to wait and see how this turns out, really, when it comes out onto YouTube. And if you like it, then give us a thumbs up. Now, there's been a few 13th Doctor figures that have been released through the years, but I've not really bothered picking them up, namely because there's not really been that much going on. It's just mainly been changes in shirt colours and everything like that. There's not really been that much that Character Options have done when it comes to the Jody figures, which is understandable because they can't spend all the money on brand new sculpts of figures that are likely not going to sell as well, purely because of the fact that this era has been a little bit hit and miss with a few fans. But ignoring all of that, I think that this figure is the most interesting variant of Jody that we've had since the release of the initial Jodie Whittaker figure that we had way back in 2019. And I've got her here. Here is the original version of Jodie, and I brought her in purposely to compare to this new variant. Now, this new variant is the dark coat variant. It's the most interesting variant that we've had of Jodie so far, released by Character Options, because this obviously is the same sculpt as what we've had from the original release. However, all of the paint applications are different on the majority of the figure, mainly because of the coat. The dark coat is what is the biggest selling point for me. It looks so good on this incarnation of the Doctor. I wish that she wore this more. It's a really good likeness to what we saw in the scenes from Once Upon Time, The Vanquishers, and more recently, The Power of the Doctor. And appropriately, you can recreate those scenes with the 13th Doctor with the new re-release of the 8th Doctor Paul McGann figure that came out in B&M stores not so long ago. It's almost like Character Options knew what was coming, that the 13th Doctor would be interacting with the 8th Doctor in scenes. But hey-ho, I think that this figure, I'm going to say it right off the bat, this figure is superior to the original version of the 13th Doctor. And it's not because I prefer the dark coat, it is because the paint applications are amazing. Everything is inverted, as I said, so the rainbow pattern is slightly different, the coat is darker, and you know what? The hair is way better, because one criticism that I had of the original Jodie Whittaker figure is that the hair paint applications were not that good. The likeness is brilliant. I've always thought that the likeness to Jodie Whittaker has been spot on, but the paint applications, they just let the figures down. But here, it's superb. I think that the wash of blonde and the slightly dark wash on the roots, it's the way it was meant to be in the first place. It's really good, and honestly, it looks superior in every single way, and I just love this dark coat. everything about this figure is obviously inverted. That's the whole idea about this version of the 13th Doctor. All of the patterns on the inside of her normal coat are now on the outside and vice versa. But you still have all of the notable aspects about this Doctor's look. As I said, you have the rainbow pattern on her shirt, which is now also painted in a darker colour. One thing to note is the braces on her shirt. They've not really been painted on. You can see that they've been sculpted, but you can always see like the fasteners. There's no detailing on the remainder of her braces. I don't know if that is a design decision by Character Options or it was indeed the look that we actually see in the actual program. I'm very unsure on that. But apart from that, I think everything else looks superb. Trousers have been painted in a slightly darker colour, so to the average viewer, you think it's just exactly the same. But I think they have slightly revised the look for her trousers, and I think it looks slightly better now, because before I thought that they looked a little bit cheaper, because if we bring her in again, you can just see like it was a little bit lighter before. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it looked a little bit lighter, and it sort of gave the initial release a cheaper look, which sort of detracted from it a little bit, which is a real shame, because obviously that was the first time that we had a 13th Doctor figure released by Character Options for this line, and obviously the Doctor Who range has been going for a long time, so you would have thought that that would have been one of the most important figures. This figure is just superior in every single way. I've said that over and over. I cannot express enough how much I love this figure. It's fantastic. The paint applications are just phenomenal on this thing. It's great. Just on the coat, on the hair, everything. It's what you want from a good 13th Doctor figure. If we have a look at her boots, they've been sculpted exactly the same, and they're more or less painted the same as well. You have the socks, which are painted blue, and you have her ankles just peeking out there, which is what you see in the programme. So that's a nice little bit of detail, which this figure still has. And the articulation, it's the same as what we've seen before on your other Jody figures, because at its heart it is the same figure. It's just brand new paint applications which are just vastly superior. The head is ball jointed, so she can look around like that, and she can move all the way around. I'm not going to do it too much because I don't want to damage the head too much, because it can rub on the hood of her coat just here, which again is very nicely sculpted. I cannot express enough how much I love this, and like just everything all around. The shoulders are also 360-degree articulation, but it can be a little bit hindered by this. It is possible, you can do it, but I wouldn't risk it too much in case you might end up snapping it, because it's very fragile. One thing I will say is this figure is very fragile. The biceps can move all the way around, and the elbows can move up and down. Wrists can move all the way around. The hips can move side to side, and obviously her legs can move back and forth as well. But there's a lot of hindrance due to this coat, which is made out of a PVC plastic. The waist can do a 360-degree turn, but again, you're going to have a hard time doing that because of the coat. The knees can bend back and forth very slightly, and that is what you get with the 13th Doctor figure. Overall, this for me is the main draw of this set. If there's a reason to get this set, it is because of this 13th Doctor figure. Superb. Now for the new version of Yaz, which of course was the 13th Doctor's main companion. This is a brand new head sculpt for Yaz, and if we just take a closer look, I think it's an excellent likeness for Mandip Gill, and I think that the detailing on the costume is very nice. Obviously, it reuses parts from previous Yaz figures, but it's been repainted to replicate the outfit that she wore in Eve of the Daleks, and it works quite well. You have those little red splodges of paint on her shirt to match the pattern of shirt that she wore in that episode, and obviously her coat is made out of a PVC and it's been painted brown all the way around, and you have all the little creases in there, and her trousers are just painted in a sort of black colour. It looks very plain, if I'm honest with you. There's also detailing around the belt, and the buckles have been painted silver, and I think overall it's a decent figure. It's not the main draw for me in this set, I'll be honest with you, and the shoes are very plain as well. It's not the main draw, but hey, at least Character Options went to the extra efforts and gave Yaz a new head sculpt. They really didn't have to do. It's a really nice head sculpt with the hair and everything like that, and she's even got her little ponytail, which can move a little bit as well. The articulation, the head can't really do that much, if I'm honest with you. I don't know if that's because of the way that the head's been sculpted. I'm guessing that it is, so I'm not going to move it too much because I don't want to break it. The arms can do a 360, well, the elbows can move up and down, and the biceps can do a 360, and wrists can do 360. Legs can move out from side to side, up and down. Thighs have 360. Knees can bend back and forth, and waist can move all the way round. And that's all I have to say, really. Good figure, but for me, it might be the weakest of the set. Last but not least, we have the Weeping Angel transparent figure. There's not an awful lot to say about this. It's the exact same sculpt of the Weeping Angel figure, which we have come to love ever since the first release in 2007. There was a transparent version that got released a few years later to coincide with their appearance in Series 5 with Matt Smith. Here is one of them here. As you can see, here's the original one, here's the new one. The new one has a blue transparent cast, and I think it's just to differentiate it from the original. What character could have done very easily was just re-release this guy and be done with it, but they didn't. So in a way, this makes for a brand new variant, and it's a very welcome variant. One variant I would like to see in this same sort of style of transparent plastic for the Weeping Angels would be the fire variant, because all they need to do with this is do the same thing but do it in red. That I would love to see. As you can see, it is sort of transparent. You can sort of see through the figure, and you can see like the innards of the figure, like all the little joints of where the articulation is. The wings of the angel, as ever, they are removable. They can move off. They're very nicely detailed, and you know, you've got the exact same sculpt as what you've seen before, with the knee bending forward and all the little creases in her dress and everything. This is actually a chase variant though, because even though you can only get this figure as part of this set officially, unless you get it loose on eBay or something like that, there is a chase variant where it has a screaming face. But this is the weeping face, so I will be posing this on the shelf like it is weeping, much like a lot of the other ones that have come out. But there is one with the screaming face as well. So if you're one of those completionists who wants to buy every single figure ever, there is a screaming face variant of this. I myself am not too bothered, but it's good for all of those collectors out there to have that option.
And like I said before, as it's the same figure, articulation is also going to be the same. The head does a 360. The waist can go all the way around, and there's a lot of free movement just due to the nature of this sculpt. The wings can move back and forth, and they can be removable. The shoulders can go all the way around, and you have it in your biceps, you have it in your elbows, you have it in your wrists. There's nothing at the bottom because the bottom is just a flat surface. There's no leg sculpt or anything like that for this figure.
And that is what you get with the Weeping Angel. Overall, a good variant to have. I have to say, as divisive as the 13th Doctor era is, I think this is a really good set and one of the best to come out in the recent batch of releases from B&M. We have a nice variant of the transparent version of Weeping Angel that we've seen before. We have a good version of Yasmin Khan, and it differentiates from the original version with the new head sculpt and what have you. And we have a new version of the 13th Doctor, which for me is the main attraction of this set. If there's a reason to get this set, it will be for this version of the 13th Doctor. That is my review of the 13th Doctor collector set. Very good set, highly recommend it for all of you figure collectors out there. Stay tuned for more Doctor Who action figure reviews on the channel, coming very soon, and all I can say for now is take care, stay safe, see you next time.